Good morning, Asa. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Nate. I'm good, man. How you doing? Well, hang on. I'm alive and kicking. I guess we're recording on Monday this week. I've had a Monday, to say the least. I've had a Monday.
Tell me about it.
So wake up and my car battery has been acting funny for the last few weeks. I've had to jump it a couple times here and there. So wake up, walk outside. Car's not starting. Get somebody come try to jump it. Still not starting. He had like a little Chevy like Volt though. So I'm like, all right, this dude's engine is not gonna in giving it enough. So I get somebody. Yeah, so I get somebody with like a Toyota Tundra V8 to come over. I just got a little Acura 2004 RL, and it's still not starting. I'm like, all right, it's dead. I gotta get a new battery. So call dude. Somebody comes over, puts a new battery in. I take it. I finally start the car, go back to the shop, pay for it, and I get in the car, and now my AC is not working. So, I mean,
you did have a Monday.
I got my black T-shirt on. I got black pants on, and I got to go, I'm all the way out in Franklin. I got to go to TSU. I'm just windows down on the interstate, sweating like crazy. Then I get out, I come here, I park, and I walk to the gym. I'm still sweating like crazy. I mean, it's just one thing after another. So that's my Monday.
I'd say we change the stigma on everybody. Mondays. Mondays are fantastic.
I wasn't mad about it. Like, I don't think I had a bad day, or I wasn't upset.
Well, that's a pretty terrible start to a week. Because,
but what we always say, Nate, I'm alive and kicking, so I really wasn't complaining about it. Just how do you respond? How do you respond when things don't go your way? That's what this is all about.
Wow. So what you were really doing was you were teaching a life lessons to your players today and everybody out there.
That's what coaching is, isn't it?
Something like that. Try to,
What's new with you?
Well, nothing. Just working. Got back. Little 14-hour round trip, plus the trips I was making from Aaron's house to the games all week, which was 40 minutes. So I have done 20 hours worth of driving.
You do some driving, man. You do some driving between your in-laws and the recruiting that you're doing right now. You do some driving.
I've done some driving. So no drive. I mean, just my little 5 minutes to work and 5 minutes back today. So took it easy. Only about 10 minutes on the road today. That's a win. Oh wait, no, that's not true. Because I sat at a light for about 20 minutes. It's another story. Dude, the traffic coming back was ridiculous yesterday. I'm gonna talk about it really quick. I'm not gonna try to waste any more time. But so I'm driving back. I get about an hour north of Knoxville, and all of a sudden it's just like boom, stop. I'm like, what the heck? We're going 3 miles an hour. It's like 3 miles, stop. 3 miles an hour, stop. Like it's like stop and go at 3 miles an hour. So it's not even like really stop and go.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, after like 45 minutes, we start passing the traffic. And this dude's car is just flipped up on its side. There's another car that's banged up and another car that's banged out. And the people there, luckily, they're safe, but they're just sitting over there on the side of the road with all these ambulances. It looked bad. But then all of a sudden, I drive another 5 miles, and it says I'm going to be in 20 miles of traffic. No way. And so they gave me I checked the routes, and Waze gave me another way. Well, I'm about to get off the exit at 27. So this is all happened. Now I'm on the way. I'm like, all right, getting off my exit, which is exit 27 on 75, where I'm drawing a blank, so I'm not going to keep going. But try to get off the exit, and it is blocked off. I'm like, why is this blocked off? Why is this exit blocked off right now? And I start driving by. Dude, a tractor trailer had ran off the exit and ran over 2 cars and ran into a pole, and there are 15 police cars there. And I hate to say it, but the guy passed away. The guy that was driving the tractor trailer, and I don't know if he had a heart attack or what, but yeah, just terrible. So, and I didn't even figure that out till this morning, like what actually happened. But I don't know if he lost his brakes or if he had a heart attack, and then but yeah.
Okay, all right.
So eventful end to the weekend. But anyway, without further ado, welcome in to the Mind of a Coach podcast, Asa. This is episode 46.
46. 46. I have something in my head, but what number was Ronnie Turiaf? Was he 28? He wasn't 46, was he?
Dude, I don't know if 46.
All right, well, we got to look it up now. We're breaking the streak, Nate. We were doing so good.
I know we were, but I mean, I honestly probably judge you if you're number 46.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the most, that's Aaron Baines. Was he?
Oh, he is 46. He was on the Celtics at least, I believe.
Yeah, they said, Boston Celtics, Phoenix Suns, and the Raptors, actually. Okay, Aaron Baines. All right, Aaron Baines.
Yeah, we don't need to look into it anymore. Let's just take Aaron Baines and let's roll.
Hey, sorry, Nate, but real quick, before we go any further, do we want to talk about what you and I got going on this weekend?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Dude, so, all right. So, Nate and I are going up to Princeton, Kentucky to play in a four-man scramble. Us two and with Eli Pepper and Aaron Korn, both of which we played college basketball with. And four-man scramble Saturday and Sunday. Nate, what do we think that we can – what are we shooting for as a group?
I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to shoot well.
I mean,
I'm not going to shoot well. However, Aaron is really good.
Huh?
Aaron is really good at golf.
What's his handicap?
It's got to be like a 10.
Yeah, we'll see about that, Aaron. Anyway, I mean, seriously, what do you think we can do after 2 days? 18 holes, four-man scramble. What do you think we can go?
After 2 days?
A realistic expectation.
I think we can hit minus 12 or minus 14.
I was thinking somewhere along the 9, maybe 10 would be really good. I'm thinking 8 to 10 is reasonable.
I don't know how Eli is. I know how we are. I know it's a similar play how we are. I think Aaron is going to help us out.
Okay, if you say so. You played with him. You played with him. I didn't. So if you say so.
I do. I think Aaron and Eli is a big swinger too. So
hey, your boy. Well, not Sunday, but I played Saturday and Sunday this week. And recently, your boy has worked some kinks out on the tee box. Like I said, except for the back nine on Sunday. But I mean, dude, I'm hitting a 20-year-old driver 280 yards 4 to 5 times around right down the fairway.
You said 4 or 5 times around.
Yeah, I am. Like I'm thinking
that's pretty good. That's not terrible.
13, yeah, straight down the fairway. Anyway, so all right, yeah. I think
is that what you had to get off your chest, or do you have something else?
No, I do have one other thing. I'm not going to go long, but with school coming back, and always wear a hoodie to class. There's never a bad time to wear a hoodie to class, unless you have a presentation.
This is terrible.
It's never too hot. It's never too cold. Wearing a hoodie to class, never steer me wrong.
I think this is a terrible advice. I'd say don't actually listen to you on this one. I'd say don't wear a hoodie to class. If you wear a hoodie to class, take your hood off so you don't look like that guy and that you don't look like you're not paying attention.
I didn't say put the hood on. I'm not saying put the hood on.
It's 90 degrees. Why would you wear a hoodie to class?
No, it's not 90 degrees in class, dude. I'm telling you, never steer me wrong. Always wear a hoodie to class.
Okay, so you're saying like stay warm. Even if it's a fleece, just wear something warm to class.
I'm saying wear a hoodie to class all the time.
But take the hood off.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I don't mean like literally put the hood on. I'm just saying always wear a hoodie to class.
All right. Well, that's interesting advice, but whatever you had to get off your chest. Also, stay safe. COVID is surging right now. Everybody stay safe. Hey, without further ado, this is a fun one, a little close to my heart. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Boom, baby.
What are you at daycare right now? What colors we got going on? I mean,
yeah, my goodness. And he's got the shirt that's matching the wall behind him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crap. Hold on, let me change my shirt.
I feel like I'm walking into Pottery Barn Kids or something.
Hey, I made sure that I have some books, a mahogany desk. My 10-month-old boxer's about to come through the door behind me.
All right, we got Coach Sam Moran on the show with us today. Coach Sam Moran played high school basketball at Battleground Academy in Franklin, Tennessee. After finishing up college, Sam came back to coach AAU and youth basketball, as well as the West Nashville Sports League for many, many, many years, and he is now kicking off BGA's first youth basketball league. Sam, appreciate you coming on, man. It's a pleasure to have you. How you doing, man? What's new with you?
Hey, doing well, man. I really appreciate y'all having me. I'm excited. Got a nice haircut, so I can look good on the podcast, and had a couple wardrobe malfunctions, so I'm glad to be here. So,
hey, all right. So you got this new. Tell us about the summer. I know we talked about it a little bit ago. What's been going on with you this summer? This new basketball league, this AAU, all this stuff you got going on. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, man, it has been a wild summer, and as you guys both know, the summertime is when guys get better. That's when you get in the gym and get better and improve your game. And so, at BGA out in Franklin, we started our own youth basketball league and called the Legends Sports League, and we have flag football and basketball. We actually so this summer we had a basketball league with over 40 teams participated, 5th through 8th grade, boys and girls.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It was a lot of time, and for those guys that do that in that league, I have a new appreciation for how much time because you got a coach that coaches multiple teams. Like I coached 3 teams. I coached our 8th grade team, our 7th grade team, and our 6th grade team. And you have other coaches that coach multiple teams, or they can only go at only play at 4:30, and so it was a great experience. And again, more than anything, it got young men and women in the gym and playing, and it's what you should be doing in the summer. So between that and then travel ball on the weekends, it's been a wild summer. So
Good. All right. So tell me a little bit about your coaching journey. So you start coaching youth leagues, and then you coach a pretty solid team in Extra Crispy, and you've continued to coach summer leagues or summer teams that now you're at Stars. So tell me a little bit about your career in that and what made you get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I always thought, being the oldest of 4 boys, you sort of felt like a coach, helping out younger siblings, even though they wouldn't listen to you always. But always loved coaching. Playing the point guard position, you sort of are pinned as the coach on the court, and that's how a lot of coaches look at it, being in that position. I love the game of basketball. I love everything there is about it. Actually, this past weekend, I got to go up to Hoosier Gym outside of Indianapolis, and I suggest that for both of you guys. It is
How was that? Tell us about what was that like?
Dude, it was awesome. You walk in, I'll have to show y'all pictures, but they just talked about, the movie and the director in the book and so forth. That movie was not about basketball. It was about life. And, the coach, Gene Hackman, got a second chance, and it talks about struggle and being the little guy against the giant and just so many life lessons. And so they actually, I didn't know this. You can actually play. They have over 80 basketball games there a year, 80 high school basketball games. What? So he said they've had teams from 40 states come, and you can just call the guy. I got his number, and he said, "Hey, yeah, just call me, and I can even pair you up with somebody, or you can have a whole game, and you can rent out the gym and have a game there." So we went down into the locker room, and it's so cool. It is so cool.
I had no idea that you could do that.
Yeah. And so, Hickory High School is not a real place. It's actually after a school called Milan High School, but it's a town called Knightstown, Indiana. That's about 45 minutes east of Indianapolis. And, oh, man, but it's exactly how you saw it. Exactly how you saw it in the movie. And it's just really, really cool. It's a neat thing. So that was one of the highlights of this past weekend. Got to take some of the players to see that. And for me growing up, Hoosiers is one of the all-time greatest movies ever. So it was really neat. So, but yeah, everything from, coaching middle school basketball. When I got out of college, I got to coach 6th grade. Also got to help out with high school basketball at BGA. And then had to stop that because I started coaching the greatest basketball team in the history of basketball. And that is the Extra Crispy basketball team. And got to see you, Ace, at a lot of tournaments. Loved watching your team play, man. Y'all were, and because again, there was no real shoe circuit deals. Were just starting, and you guys were an independent. And dude, y'all used to whoop tail, and so did Extra Crispy, and bunch of. Really
I played golf with Extra Crispy's best player, Andy Shumpert, this weekend.
Did you really? The mannequin. We called him the mannequin.
Y'all called him the mannequin.
We called him the mannequin because it didn't matter what happened and Andy, obviously this guy's over in Tokyo doing the Olympics and just got done being in the NBA Finals. But Shumpert, I guarded Devin Booker the best I've ever seen anybody guard him. So that was one of the main things up in Indianapolis. We got to play Devin Booker, and his team out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they were nasty. And Shump did a great job on him. So we also had an infamous time where we flew Shump in the middle of the night because we needed a player. Somebody got hurt, and Coach Rip Johnson and I stayed up till midnight, got Shumpert on like a 5 a.m. flight, and he came to our 8 o'clock game in Louisville, Kentucky to play in the semifinals game because we had like 2 guys get hurt and needed somebody. So we flew in Shumpert in the middle of the night to play. So we got some great travel season, and that's what people need to. We should write a book about all the stuff we've seen during AAU tournaments. It's wild. I actually had a fight break out this past weekend in Indianapolis on the court behind us, and we actually in the middle of our game had to like leave our bench because the fight was coming behind us. And
What?
yeah, so I got like a video, and I'm like videoing as I'm running, and and the ref tackled. I don't know if it was a parent or a coach, but tackled this dude and had him down until other guys came. And but I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not getting anywhere near that. So gotta love it, baby.
I think that's probably a pretty smart decision. All right, so what went into your desire to start playing basketball? What made you really fall in love with the game? Is there a specific moment?
I don't think so. I mean, I grew up, in the early 90s, just loving Michael Jordan and loving sports, all sports. And that's the great thing about being a young kid is just, all that sports teaches you. And we were fortunate to have a dad that loved basketball and taught us the game of basketball. And so I loved everything about it from, I got to be a Vanderbilt ball boy and actually was on ESPN getting trucked by Nazi Muhammad and Kentucky Wildcats. I was underneath the goal and a loose ball came and Nazi Muhammad knocked me out and they gave me a standing ovation. So everything from watching the game, studying the games, I loved Hoosiers and Blue Chips. And then later on he got game and to playing. And then, the biggest thing is coaching because, you really get to impact and change people's lives. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I mean, and there's a lot of great guys that have been on this podcast that have been coaching for years and decades. And, like this past year due to COVID, I actually coached 6 teams. I had 3 school teams and 3 rec teams at the same time. It about killed me, but
Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, 10.
How do you manage all that? I'm sorry. How do you manage all that?
You have practices weekend. I mean, really, I was doing it 7 days a week, and it's tough and it's a sacrifice on the family and all that. But for me, it's something that I love doing because, like I said, basketball is a great thing that teaches you about life and just competing. In life, you've got to compete. Nothing's ever given to you, but also it teaches you about being a good teammate and losing with respect and treating others with respect. And so it's, but yeah, coaching 6 teams was crazy. But again, there's a great quote that talks about a coach will impact more people in a year than most people do in a lifetime. And so it's just, it's a huge honor. It's a huge honor that parents trust you with their young people and all that. And so, I mean, you guys ought to take it. It's a huge honor and you guys are doing it at the highest level. And so it's just, it's really neat. And that's what's been neat for me is started coaching in 2009. And so now I got these guys that come back and tell me stories and about what they remember, but then also like what they learned and, getting sentimental, but it's, not about the wins and losses. They just talk about the stuff, the life lessons that they learned. And so kudos to all those people that are doing that. And, kudos to, like I said, travel season ended that their people spent time away from their families and spent times away from their friends and all that. And they're in a gym, hundreds of miles away with these young people that, that they're showing them life lessons through the game of basketball. So it's a great thing.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how your perspective has changed, I guess, since you started coaching right as you were out of college to how you are coaching now, whether that is more of a life perspective or X's and O's.
The biggest thing, I was actually talking about this with Aaron Morrison, who coaches a 17U travel team and is the head coach of Middle Tennessee Christian School in his first year. And I said, man, the more I coach, the more I realize it ain't about X's and O's. It's about the Jimmy and the Joes. And That's been the biggest thing because, I've coached everything from 5th grade through high school. And man, 5th grade, I can have the greatest play, call a timeout. All right, you go here, you go here, you go here. And all of a sudden you look up and the kid goes and scores on the wrong end and you're like, well, crud. So it ain't about the Jimmy. It ain't about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmy and the Joes and letting them play. I'm one that, I grew up with a, legendary coach at BGA, Gary Smith, and we ran spots, as we call it, the flex offense, and, very regimented and all that stuff. And then where now I'm hey, let's let the players play and, let them get downhill, set a screen and let them go to work. But again, at the end of the day, basketball, as I told somebody, basketball is a really hard game if you can't shoot the basketball. And so it's more about, for me, what I've really transitioned from is trying to teach all these plays and doing all that stuff to developing skill development and practice and doing a bunch of skill development and then applying that to the games and letting them play, as well as when you're coaching younger kids, travel ball this past season, I had 9 guys from 8 different schools. And so none of them are going to run the same offense. So it's wasting time teaching them how to do stuff. But instead I want to teach them hey guys, the guys over the read line, go back door, or hey, you guys got to learn how to be help side and help the helper and rotate, take a charge, which nobody wants to take a charge anymore, but that's something we're learning. So I'd say more than anything, just learning how the game has changed and how I used to be get twos or whatever jump shots, where now it's, hey, I tell my guys all the time, I want nothing but layups and threes. I want layups and catch and shoot threes. And so that's changed a lot for me too. And it's just been interesting to see how the game has changed in the past couple of years. It's amazing. So,
yeah. Okay. So you briefly hinted on skill development in the summer, and I wanted to kind of get back on that and specifically talk about what you used to always tell me. For the people that, obviously, we mentioned that you are my older brother, but you helped me tremendously in basketball. So although I would never have given you the credit back then, at least to your face, just to other people. So, but what I was going to ask you is, when it came to just the fundamentals and preaching the fundamentals, not getting caught up in all the hoopla and everything else, you were very big on that. And you would tell me that, and whether you thought I was listening to you, I was always listening to you. And so I think one of the biggest things you ever taught me was to become a leader. And what does that look like? And how does that act like? And so my question is what is the importance of having a mentor in your life that holds you accountable and doesn't just tell you what you want to hear?
Absolutely. I mean, a mentor is huge, whether it's on the basketball court, the playing fields, in life and business. It means everything to have a mentor, to have a network. I mean, as you know, it's not life. It's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know when it comes to business and learning stuff. Having a mentor is having somebody just a couple of years older than you or many years older than you that has gone through that same path. And so but you got, and most mentors, when you dig a layer, they're going to tell you all the good things, but then they're also going to say hey man, if I could do it over again, I would have changed this. I would, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that's something I try to tell somebody, with the students, being the director of alumni and talking to young alums is man, you're going to fail. And I tell my kids this all the time. With my players, I said, I want you to fail. It's that whole, the acronym first attempt in learning. And I want you to fail, and I want you to fail often. I want you to fail hard, and I want you to fail fast, because I think that you're going to learn the most by failing. And I think a mentor can really help say hey man, it's okay to fail. And by the way, I've been there a couple of years ago and I failed and I failed and I failed. There's that famous Michael Jordan quote about, the reason why he succeeded is because he failed over and over again. And that's why he was able to succeed. And that's what a lot of kids, they don't see that because it's not on social media and it's not posted, and you're not seeing the failures and the hours in the gym and how many times they can't dribble with their weak hand and all that. All you see is the accolades and the trophies and all that. And so having a mentor there that can be okay, this is what you specifically need to work on. And then when you do need somebody to talk to and be man, I have one player who has the biggest ceiling in the world on my travel team. And every time he comes off the court, he goes, man, I stink. This stinks. I'm terrible. I'm sorry, coach. I'm like, dude, the reason why you're doing so well in your school ball is because every weekend we're going and playing the best kids out of Atlanta, because we're going to play the best kids out of Chicago, because we're going to play the best kids out of wherever. And that's why you're coming back to Nashville and you're having a phenomenal, I mean, he averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds a game. And it's because he's up in the bar. And so, again, it's just having somebody that's level-headed that will help teach you, how to deal with the wins and how to deal with the losses.
That's great. Sam, I'm going to circle back around real quick to what we were talking about with Andy a second ago. Coach King once coined his nickname as the Galloping Ghost. So I thought you could that one. The Galloping Ghost. How great is that? Perfect.
Coach King.
Hey, you mentioned high school a little bit ago. I know you have some incredible high school basketball stories that we've talked about and Nate's brought up. I want you to talk a little bit about your high school experience at Battleground Academy.
Yeah, man, I was very fortunate, as all my brothers and I were, to go to BGA, and we had a legendary coach, Gary Smith, that I got to play for, and it was towards the tail end of his career, so it was interesting seeing that, and then going back, and Nathan played for a different coach, and Lynn McNatt, and who I consider one of my dear best friends and one of the best coaches in the state. But BGA. We had a couple different, 500 years, freshman, sophomore, and again, I never even sniffed the court. In fact, one of the greatest stories, and this is awful, and I hope nobody does this, was we're playing Columbia Central my freshman year, and I got to dress the very first. Have you heard this story, Asa?
No, but just the way you prefaced it was hilarious, so I can't wait for it.
So freshman year, first home game, playing Columbia Central, and who they're phenomenal. They got a guy named Waddell Williams that went on and played. They got another guy ended up going to High Point, scored like 40 points against North Carolina one night. Joey Knight was his name, and they're playing Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast, blasting over the speakers. And hey, Sam, you're gonna lead us out. You're gonna lead us out on the court. Like, let's go. And I'm like jacked up. I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm a freshman. Like, look at me. All the girls are gonna see me running out. This is gonna be great. So we go running out. And cheerleaders start fire up, whatever. I go running out. I go out to half court. I make the turn and I turn around, and I'm the only one that ran out. Everybody else, they were standing in the hallway and told me to go out. And so what I do, I just turned around, went down, shot a layup, got my own rebound, and everybody thought it was funny because I was just like, whatever.
That's what you would have to do.
That's the greatest thing you could do.
Because you can't act embarrassed. You have to just play it off.
It was so funny. And I got back at some of the seniors later, and I don't know if they knew it was me or not. But, yeah, I mean, that was my very first high school game as a freshman. I go run out in a packed gym, and they're like, who is this little dude that's walking out here? Probably my stuff was hanging off me, and I just went and shot my layup. I hope I made it. I can't remember if I made it or not.
Oh.
I probably missed it.
You should have just went up and then moved back to the left side, just did it again, and then back to the right.
I had to get my own rebound, and then I just sort of dribbled back, and then they came running out, and they were all laughing. I was like, great. But
hey, like Coach Belcher was talking about, hey, you got your points per game up real quick, right there. Your pregame points per game.
And then later that year, I got to play Franklin High School, which was another huge rival, and their star player. I got in at the final, and he was quick as a cat. And they were killing us. And late in the game, I got in, and he drove by me. I fouled him. They take it sidelines out of bounds. He went by me again. I couldn't stay anywhere near him. Fouled him again. And and he looked at me. He goes, dude, if you don't get your hands off me, I'm going to find you in the parking lot. And I was like, oh my gosh. He was, a senior. I'm a freshman. I'm like, oh, I'm hosed. And so I didn't touch him. I literally went and found somebody else to guard that. So,
did you guys ever play BA? I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. Did you guys ever play BA?
We did play Brentwood Academy. My senior year, it was great. We played them first time at BGA, and old JoJo McKnight banked in a three at the buzzer to tie it up, and we later won in overtime. They had Brandon Wright, Josh Bone, They had a bunch of guys. Darren Mustin, who went on and played linebacker at Alabama.
Brandon Brown was on. They had a Brandon Brown went to Lipscomb. Brian Wright too. But I think
Oh, dude, they had
everybody.
At the time they had
Stallings was there, wasn't he? Wasn't Kevin Stallings on
there? Jacob was like a freshman, but they had a guy named Bruce Little who went on and played DB at Virginia Tech. And they also had Chris Slay, Ron Slay's little brother. But one of the biggest freak of natures, I can't even think of what is.
Who was their four-man? Barry
Turner.
That's who it was, yeah.
Barry Turner went on to Nebraska as a defensive end. Like, these dudes were studs. But we were fortunate enough. We had a great team. And I mean, we really did. And it was a lot of fun and played the right way. And so we upset them. And then what was really neat was the second game, they moved our game to Belmont University because there was so much anticipation and they like sold out at BA. So they moved it to Belmont. We got to play there. And then we got to have the region championship. We beat them at Belmont, then played them the third time in the region championship at BGA. And they brought in bleachers in the end zones, and like it was the coolest thing ever. I don't know if Nathan has any memories of that game or not, but like they roped us off to get us on the court, and then they it shut in. Like it was wild.
I mean, I wasn't very old at that time, but I do remember going to the game, and one of the biggest highlights was Chase Carter. Do you know Chase, Asa?
No, I'm not familiar with Chase. I don't think.
Okay, so Chase went to Centennial, played baseball with me growing up, was one of my best friends growing up. So we are sitting on the front row, and BJ comes out, BA comes out, and they're going through layup lines, and Chase is standing there with his hand out, and Brandon gives him a high five, Brandon Wright. And he goes, "I'm never washing my hand." And I really don't think he washed his hand for like a whole week. Like, but no, those games were crazy. And I do remember that Brandon didn't like his trophy so much after that game.
Yeah, we found.
We can ask Brandon about
what happened.
I don't know if it's as much as Brandon as it was their coach. So we won the region championship. We beat them for the third time at BGA, and that next Monday morning, our PE teacher goes into the visitors' locker room, which is our PE locker room, and found the regional runners-up trophy in the trash in the locker room. So no, here's the best part. The best part
I want to call him right now and ask him about that.
The best part, I bet he probably doesn't know it. I mean, again, here's the best part. Our coach, Gary Smith, went and took the trophy and put it up in our trophy case right next to the region championship one. And we're like, why would you do that? Like, but we had it there, and they came and got it a couple of days or weeks later. So, but yeah, they had a legendary coach, George Pitts, was at King and was at Science still before BA. And, it was just awesome because we knew all the BA guys that didn't play anymore. But back then, like Nashville, you knew everybody. And so your buddies that were from BA were in the stands watching. And then, we hung out with some girls from BA and they were in the stands watching, and you had the girls from BJ and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. As got to see you guys when you were still at BA and then later at Brentwood, watching you guys battle it out. But I did not have a historic shot like you did in the glass house, man.
Well, just in case Brandon is watching, they did end up winning the state championship. So I guess getting rid of that trophy was worth it because they got a glass ball or a golden ball. So I'm sorry to still bring that up all this time later. But
my junior year, I lost to Mark Gasol in Lausanne, and they also had Jerry West's son. Who I can't think of what his name was, but I mean, that team was loaded too. So, I mean, it's funny because the talent in Tennessee continues to go and go, but then when you look at it, you're like, 1 year you get put up by Mark Gasol and Jerry West's son. The next year, we lost in the state championship or state tournament to Christian Brothers, but then you're talking about Brandon Wright and all those guys, and some of the guys I got to play with, like Mario Moore and growing up at the Concord YMCA and all that. So it was always really neat. Basketball in Nashville was really great time. So
yeah. Hey, I kind of want to ask you all this before we wrap up here in a little bit. What So I don't have a brother. I don't have that kind of relationship. Kind of, can both of y'all tell me kind of how each of you has pushed each other on your basketball journeys? I guess kind of what it's mean. You know, obviously Sam, Nate going to BGA as well and winning a state championship, capping off his senior season at BGA at Lipscomb where he ends up going. You're in Nashville. You get to stay and watch him play. Kind of, either of y'all can take this however y'all want. I just kind of want to know what y'all's basketball journey has meant for each other.
Yeah. Well, first, you know, this is always a debate, and Nathan probably knows where I'm going with this, is I always said my team would beat his team.
Yeah.
And he says he won a state championship, but I said, hey, we played in the upper division. And so it was always a huge debate. So we'll leave that for
It's not even a debate. So
we would have lost.
And this is why I say it's not a debate, because we did not lose to a single team in the upper division, and the team that won the state championship in the upper division, we won by 20 that year. So, I mean, if you want to try to make it a debate, you can, but it wouldn't be a very good one.
Would you have beaten Brandon Wright in BA 3 times?
We would have beaten them in the state championship.
Oh, that's all I'm saying. Touche. But,
or maybe not. Who knows? Because I mean, those were two of the best teams that BGA had in the 20 years. In that 20-year span when BGA hadn't won a state championship, fortunate enough, Sam and I got to play with some really good players as well. So we got to play on probably two of the best teams during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'll go ahead and take it for a second. Going off of your question, Asa, were you asking? Just like refresh me. It was.
So here's where that question came from. I wanted to ask Sam kind of what it meant to watch you like grow up and then win a championship at BGA. I didn't want to make it bring up a sore subject. I really wasn't trying to. But so that's when I thought I was like that's a lame question. I don't want to just straight up ask.
No, it's a great.
I want to know what seriously. I want to know kind of just what y'all have meant to each other on y'all's basketball.
It's a great question, and because I got to experience. And I use it literally every day that I'm coaching these young people now is I use Nathan as my example. Mm-hmm. Is you've got Nathan who did nothing but worked his tail off. I mean, from, having knee surgery and not playing in middle school because of a knee surgery to literally saying, I'm going to get up every morning before school and I'm going to shoot for an hour and do some dribbling drills for an hour. And then afterwards, dude, I took him, we have some infamous games where I was telling people this weekend where we went to Hinkle Fieldhouse and we got to shoot basketball at Hinkle Fieldhouse with the Butler basketball team. And then
this was like a year after their championship run, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was after they lost to Duke. And you remember we got to go with that Rodney Clark came in late, the point guard, and we did shooting drills with Rodney Clark in the middle of the night in Hinkle Fieldhouse. And then we went to, Nathan also played in 8th grade. He got to play against Tim Tebow and a bunch of guys that we used to play ball with. And Nathan played against the Tennessee basketball team when he was, in middle school, when it was like J.P. Prince.
Yeah, that's when I've been dunked on once, Asa. It was by J.P. Prince in 8th grade.
Cool. That's okay, though.
It was nasty. It about ended his life. But anyways.
Middle school.
Didn't matter.
He should have taken a charge, sissy.
Well, I went and it was late and then I ducked. And he kneed my legs so hard. I was trying to play it cool because it was JP Prince, but I was in pain. But anyway.
But I think for me, again, that was my only seeing somebody that walked the walk. Got up every single day and worked his tail off and did his individual workouts, would be in the weight room every day. And then at night we'd go find a basketball game. And again, I tell my kids all the time, the only way you're really going to get better is you need to go play against bigger, faster, stronger players. And I had Nathan, going against guys. Nathan was coming with me and playing guys that were 10, 15 years older that he was just getting the crap kicked out of him. But he came back the next day and he came back the next day and he came back the next day. So such a huge, just so proud of him and just a huge big brother moment to see him, again, his senior year, ultimate success story. Was told hey man, you're pinned, you're a little point guard and you're a maybe D3 player. And Nathan was like, no man, I'm going D1. And again, I'm willing to say hey, if you can play basketball at any level in college, you've got to be really, really good. And that's something a lot of young people don't understand is you can play D3, you better be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nathan, just how he was able to walk on and, earn a scholarship and earn playing time and play, I know Lipscomb has a great tradition of basketball, and I'm biased because you guys were there, but I mean, you guys were on some of the best Lipscomb teams, in the history of that school, and what y'all did and how y'all, it's sort of funny because I was at Lipscomb working at the time, and I was there a year before Casey came, right around that time, and to watch how the culture changed. And so that's another thing that I learned in, going back to what you learned in basketball is like, and I think actually I was listening to Lenny Acuff's podcast actually this weekend, riding up to Indy, and he talked about like, changing the culture. And that's what watching what Casey Alexander and the staff did that changed the culture and getting rid of, the cancer and changing that culture to a winning program. It was phenomenal. And so watching you guys, go against the top teams in the country and succeeding and beating, and then, it all ending, Asa, you graduated a year before, but Nathan, to end at Madison Square Garden, to beat Wichita State before that, winning at NC State. And I was like, people were like, oh man, are you going? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, where else would I be? And so to play in Madison Square Garden as your last collegiate basketball game, like, dude,
that's unbelievable.
Awesome. It's awesome. But again, at the end of the day, basketball is such a great tool for life lessons that, like, I tell my players this all the time. I said, the ball stops bouncing at some time. For me, it was high school. Other guys, it's college. Other guys, they get to go play professionally. But
that ball stops bouncing. It stops bouncing.
It stopped. And, you unfortunately.
No matter how inflated.
No matter how inflated.
That's right. And I think it stopped bouncing before it even started bouncing for me. But, like, it's what you're learning, during this time. So what'd you say?
I said flat ball.
Hey, that helps shooters. Shooters touch.
Honestly, you might have the most solid pumped up ball because, I mean, you still play to this day. But Asa, I'm gonna say this from my perspective, and what Sam did for me is Sam didn't really let me get away with too much. Like, Sam was gonna call me out on it. He was gonna be honest with me, and like brothers, we were gonna argue about it, and we'd be mad at each other for a second, and then it would just be over, and we'd just move past it. I remember one time.
He got me kicked off the bench his very first game of high school. The kid scored 27 or 29 points at Centennial his first game. I'm on the bench. I'm on the bench, and I just try to tell him, like, we were in like a 2-3 zone, and I told him one thing. Nathan flips out. Next thing you know, Lynn McNatt grabs me and was like, dude, you got to go, like, in the middle. And I was like, oh, my gosh, thanks.
I never knew that.
Yeah, you didn't want to say it, but you did.
Honestly, I barely remember it, but yeah, I mean,
and hey, dropping 29 as a freshman on Centennial.
And I think it was the best game he ever had scoring wise in the history of his thing. And then, he gets rid of me, and what could have been.
It could have been. Yeah, but I mean, I think this is important for people to know that are listening to this podcast about Sam and the type of person that you probably want to be as well. As Sam is the guy that does things that doesn't want credit, and even as a brother, and he does this for people all the time, and they probably don't even recognize it. And if they do, Sam's just not going to talk about it. And I've told this story to 1,002 people, but one time when Sam, so I finished playing college basketball, or I finished my senior year. I was applying for the master's program at Lipscomb, and I said, hey, Sam, like, could you help me with my resume? And he said, yeah, sure. Just come over and I can sit you down and help you with it. So I'll go over there, and he's like, here's the resume I made for you in high school. And I'm like, why'd you make a resume for me in high school? Like, but that's just who Sam was. And then he accidentally clicked on another tab, like his other folder, and tried to like click off it really fast. I said, no, what was that?
Something else.
And it was like 300 and like however many schools are in Division I college basketball, like 340 schools or whatever, 330 schools. And he had emailed every single one. Like, he had made a contact list for every single one. And I can guarantee you there's no other person in the country that's doing stuff like that. Thank goodness social media was not huge back then, because Sam would have been all over it. And I'd been like, dude, Sam, like, calm down. But that's the kind of guy, but like, he's the kind of guy that'll do things and not ask for a lick of credit. And sometimes he needs to. He needs to ask for a little credit. But Sam, I'm super appreciative for you. I'm nowhere close to the basketball player I am today without you. And I guess I'm still probably not coaching basketball if it's not for you. So I appreciate you. But Ace, are you ready for a little rapid fire?
Yeah, man, let's do it. I appreciate y'all answering.
Hey, I'm gonna spin it on y'all too. I got rapid fire for you guys too. So
all right.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I got questions because I've got a lot of people that want to know some stuff. So it ain't too bad.
Okay, here we go. All right, Sam. Last technical.
Honestly, I've never had a technical.
Never?
Never. I've gotten very, very close, but
we never had a technical, but we just found out you have been kicked out of a game.
Well, yeah, by the coach. I mean, he told me to get lost. No, I never got a technical, but and I guess that also helps when I run all these leagues and run all this stuff. I get to know the referees, and they're some of my best friends. So, again, at the end of the day, referees are people too, and so you got to be able to approach them. And so, there's some bad ones out there, but I always make sure there's two things I always do is I always make sure my guys clean the bench, and I always make sure win or loss, my guys always go thank the referees. You always go thank the referees because what was awesome was actually in Indianapolis, we had the same referees 3 games, and guess who got the majority of the calls after we thanked them the first night? We did. And so if you thank the referees, tell your players, tell them thank you, clean up the bench, all
Just
that.
be respectful.
Good things happen. Good things happen.
All right. Have you ever dunked the basketball on a 10-foot rim?
No. I'll answer that one. No. Not a 9-foot rim.
All right, Sam.
I wish I could dunk on a 9-foot rim.
All right, you're up 3 at the end of a game. Do you foul or let it play out?
I'm a big foul. Obviously, it depends on what age you're coaching and what you got to know your team and the situation. But the majority of the time, I am fouling and boxing out. So
yeah. All right. Leave your best player in with 2 fouls in the first half.
I am usually in school ball where there's 5 fouls, I'm probably taking him out.
Even if it's the state championship, you guys are down 8 and it's about to run away from you.
Oh, then no. Yeah, I'm leaving him.
So it's situational.
It is situational because if you gotta be able to read it because you're thinking, well, oh man, I can save them and we can be down by 20 at the time. Well, but if you're down and all that, you gotta leave him in and if it's your best player, you gotta hopefully he's level headed and maybe you play a zone, maybe you change to a zone, maybe you do something to protect him, but it's all situational. And it's just I told my guys this weekend, you got to know your environment. You got to know that, in a game this weekend, we were up by 25 and we were just getting hacked and my dudes were complaining. And one of my kids got taken for yelling at the ref. And I said, buddy, we're up 25. These dudes want to go home. We're not going to get a call. And the kid was like, oh yeah, I guess that's right. And so, got to read the environment. So
go for the tie or go for the win.
Situational, but I'm probably going to go – if I'm in an AAU game, I'm going for the win. If I'm school ball, I'm going for the tie.
Okay. I like it. I like that answer. Casual or professional on the sidelines?
Ooh, casual.
Yeah.
Casual, because I got to be able to get down in a defensive stance. I've been told that I'm like a 6th man on the sideline. I can't sit down. I'm very loud. And so, if they come over, I'm waving my hands, yelling, trap, trap, trap. So I try to freak them out. So I got to be able to get in a stance, or else I'd probably tear my pants. I try to get in a stance. So I got to be wearing shorts or something.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea, Asa, of him being professional on an AAU sideline.
Yeah, I know. We don't see that often. Maybe you should switch it up.
As in never. I've never seen it.
Do either one of y'all ever check out AAU Bingo?
No, but that sounds interesting. That sounds hilarious.
It'll change your world. Go right after this. Look at AAU Bingo on Twitter. They took it down because of us, but it basically shows everything that happens at AAU tournaments with coaches wearing backpacks and jerseys and coaches being, all different stuff. So it's AAU Bingo. I highly, highly suggest it. So,
I'm looking at it right now. That, I'm hitting the follow button, Nathan, on our Mind of a Coach page. Okay.
Get a Twitter account, Asa.
Hey.
Hold up. We're not done.
Yeah, we're not done, Sam. Early morning practice or evening or night practice?
Early morning practice. That way they can't stay out the night before and get in there, get it done, and get on with it. So,
all right. So if you were not running programs, coaching basketball, what would you want to be doing outside of the world of basketball? What would you want to be doing?
Oh man, I and I haven't gotten to my favorite team that I coach, but helping nonprofits. I love being involved in nonprofits and doing that. But I coach a Special Olympics basketball team. That's my absolute favorite team I've ever coached. But I'd probably love to be in real estate. I love real estate, and I'm fascinated, especially what's going on in the city of Nashville. It's crazy, but I probably do something in real estate and then also work with a bunch of nonprofits.
What's your handicap in golf?
I don't play golf. Oh, dude.
You haven't joined Nate yet?
Dude,
We played once in Hilton Head.
We did play.
No, actually, you know what? I played with Shannon. You played with Hasty, but you did play once.
Yeah, I've played on some great golf courses for being. In 1 year, I got to play on I hit a ball on Pebble Beach. We got to play in Maui, and there was somewhere else that I got to play like the honors course. And somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, that's fantastic!" I was like, "Yeah, I hit one ball at each place, and that way I could say I hit a golf ball on the courses." But I am atrocious at golf, and so I'm good for about 3 holes, and then after that, I'm done. I'm done. I've lost all my golf balls. I'm ticked. I'm done.
My fault. Should every team make the conference tournament?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
You should make it. That's what makes each game of the regular season fun. And then you have teams like Belmont or somebody that again, yes, you're doing the regular season to build for that seed, but I just think some of these teams, man, put them out of their misery. They don't want to be there. They're done. Some of the teams that y'all played, it was just a waste of time, and you got somebody that might get hurt, and you'd be like, oh, well, the Cinderella season, they might turn around. Well, guess what? They had the whole season that they could have done something. They whatever. But I got a question. What do y'all think of that?
Go ahead, Ace. I know my answer. Go ahead.
I'm okay with all teams making the conference tournament, but I like the top 2 seeds, getting a double bye or depending on how many teams are in the conference. I'm okay with all teams making the conference tournament.
I'm not a one size fits all for college basketball. I think an OVC, then not every team should make the tournament. I think for the SEC, every single team should make the tournament, and they should keep their format. And the reason I think that is because it doesn't matter as much for Power 5 teams. If they lose their first game, if they're a 3 seed and they lose their first game, they might go down 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but it's not going to be drastic. However, if Tennessee State earns a 1 seed and they're 25-8 and they lose their first game, they're out. So I think it's not a one size fits all.
I agree with that, Asa. I mean, I think Power 5's it's a money-making thing. It's a great for whatever city. When it's in Nashville, the SEC tournament's the coolest thing ever. And like you said, you get the double bye. But for the OVC, ASUN, all that stuff, where if you lose, like a Belmont did, or like a Murray State, they lose, or like TSU's having a fantastic season, and let's say all of a sudden you're playing in a game and somebody gets hurt, and all of a sudden you go out. It's. That's tough.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not sitting here saying I wish the OVC would do that. I'm just saying I'm okay, with all teams making it. But Nate, I thought you hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, I mean it's just not the same for every single conference. But anyway, Asa, go ahead.
Yeah, last one, Sam. Hey, LeBron or Jordan? And why do you hate LeBron so much?
I ain't even open my mouth.
Or I guess after last week, LeBron, Jordan, or Bird. I guess that's the other one that's been added into this. Coach Belcher.
Bird. I love Michael Jordan. I mean, again, it's when you grew up.
It's nostalgia.
It's funny. So I did a basketball camp. I did a basketball camp last week, and I've been doing some camps at BGA. And we have our campus right after lunch. So one of the things we do is I don't want them to get sick right afterwards. So I'll make them go in and I make them watch Michael Jordan highlights. So I'm trying to teach youth. But one kid told me he loved LeBron. So I did a LeBron highlight. I got through about 30 seconds of it. And I'll say this. I love LeBron. LeBron graduated in 2003 from high school from St. Vincent St. Mary's. I was class of 2004. So one of the cool things we used to do at the basketball team, we actually did it at our house or at another buddy's house, was we'd have LeBron James watch parties because his senior year, they had a bunch of his games were on TV. When they played Oak Hill and all that. So I love LeBron, like all that stuff, the flopping, some of that stuff. The game's just changed. Man, you watch Jordan and you watch some of the stuff and the physicality and, what he went through. I mean, again, they're all great. Yes,
gosh.
I know LeBron's 6'8", blah, 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 blah. But, dude,
you see one highlight of some dude getting clocked from like 1995, and everybody thinks that like the whole game was just, a slugfest. It's not the case.
Dude.
You weren't around, Asa.
The bad boys.
I can go back and watch games. I listen to people that were around, and like, yeah, it wasn't always. It's like you can't just put a 3-minute highlight clip together, or people just getting slugged and be like, "This was the '90s. This was how bad it was all the time."
Dude, I mean, but like the Bulls versus the Knicks, or the Bulls versus the Bulls versus Detroit and Boston, all those dudes. I mean,
the fact of the matter is this, Sam, is that he's not wrong, Asa. I mean, it's because it's a more offensive-minded game in today's age. So they'll call you for touching somebody. Like you touch somebody, except for in the NBA Finals, but which is totally blasted. It should be the exact same the entire season. I think you just let people guard. If you put a hand on somebody and get it off, that's fine. To me, let somebody touch it. It would have helped me in college. Oh. I know that. Well, I wouldn't have drawn as many fouls. I drew quite a bit of fouls by somebody. But anyway, I think it's just call it the same the whole season. It's crazy that all of a sudden they switch it up in the NBA Finals. But however, I'm saying this, they have changed it because they think it helps ratings by having a more offensive-minded game. But nobody wants to watch free throws. Yeah. Nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, he scored 50 points. He shot 30 free throws. My goodness.
Well, but in the games go so long because of all of the free throws and all of the fouls and the whistles and all that. So I like them all. I mean, again, I'm biased, but I think basketball players are the greatest athletes on the planet. I mean, for guys that are that big to run that fast, jump that high, stop on a dime. I mean,
move laterally. Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, so I love all those dudes for different reasons. And like I said, I don't hate LeBron. But I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan, huge Larry Bird, love, Magic Johnson. I mean, I loved all those dudes. I just think all those guys were awesome. And again, my favorite player might be Steve Nash. I mean, growing up, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be Steve Nash from Santa Clara and all that stuff, because that's probably who I resembled the most, except for I was quick. I couldn't shoot. And I wasn't a very good passer. But other than that, I'm like him. So.
All right. Hey, I have one quick question. I see you playing around with a G2 real quick. What is your pin size? Are you a 0.5? Are you a 0.7? Are you a 1.0? What kind of guy are you?
I'm a whatever is free and whatever I can find. So this was right beside the desk. So this is what I got.
So what is it?
It's a G2.
No, what is it? A 0.5? Is it a 0.5, 0.7, 1.0, 0.3? What is it?
How do you know this? This is weird that you know this stuff. Asa, do you know this stuff?
It's like a 0.5 or a 0.7. Hang on. Where's this going, Nate?
I'm just asking questions here. This determines on the type of person you are.
0.7.
You're a 0.7?
I mean, it says 07. I guess that's it. I've never looked
at it.
All right.
Hey, Sam, what do you have for us? We have 2 to 3 minutes left. What do you
have?
Dude,
I got so many. All right. So, Asa, up 3, you going to foul or are you going to defend?
I err on the side of fouling, so I'm going to say fouling.
Nate?
Up 3 with how much? I'm all
it's obviously situational.
Go into it, but
I'm a fan of fouling.
Final possession, down 7.
Do I have Eli Pepper and another Eli Pepper on my team? If so, I'm gonna just foul and rebound. But if I have a 6'6" squad, then I'm gonna just push them up on the line and make them shoot it 2. That's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. All right. What was your least favorite drill at Lipscomb?
All right, I'll go first this time. It was the flipping. So we ran 4 out, 1 in, and we always worked on skip passes, and we always had to start and help side and then go close out on a skip pass. I think it was a drill that was meant to fail you. So I failed numerous times and heard about it numerous times. Never once probably got that right unless I guessed correctly. So guarding a skip pass, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, one that sticks out to me was the one where we My least favorite drill was the one where we went from the block to the elbow and then did a layup, and then went from the other block to the elbow and then did a layup, and had to do like, we had 30 seconds and you had to that. I thought that was I hated that drill.
It was so tiring.
It's not even that it was tiring. It just made no sense to me.
What's
teaching reaching out your dribbles? I think just pushing it out, using less dribble.
I didn't understand that drill at all. That was a waste of movement.
All right.
So you're first this time.
What's the best drill that you learned either at Brentwood or Lipscomb or TSU or whatever? What's the best drill? Like if you're the head coach that you're like, hey man, my first practice, I'm starting with this drill.
I really like diamond defense, defensive scoring. You have 3 out, you got a post player, and it's quick. It's quick, right? So the guy, you're starting off the possession. If you get a stop, whether the offense shoots a 3 or a 2, you get you get those points as the defense. So you want to stay on defense. That's how you win the game. Normally it's you have 3 or 4 teams. It's a cutthroat type almost. One possession each, and then as soon as you get a stop, well then the offense can come on as soon as they want to and go. So defense has to be ready. I really like diamond defense.
All right, Nate.
I like 5-on-5. I know that sounds super simple, but I just think there's nothing better than legitimately getting in there and playing the type of basketball that you're going to be playing in a game. I think that's the most translatable thing. Now, obviously, there's breakdown drills that you go through, all of it, but I think 5-on-5 is the most valuable. But honestly, Ace,
that's not a drill, Nathan.
Yes, it is.
5-on-5 is a drill.
I mean, yeah, you can rep it like a drill.
Pickup if we're playing pickup, is it a drill?
This is in practice, Asa. Do you think? Do you play pickup the way you play it in practice in front of all your coaches? That is an absolute no.
No, but I don't think I'd count
5-on-5, half court.
I mean, it is.
And yes, I would probably agree with you. I love defensive scoring.
Yeah, I like.
What about? Do y'all ever do in practice? Do y'all ever play like 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 where you can't dribble?
No, I'll go first. No, we have never done it with no dribbles. I mean, I remember doing that in high school. Maybe a dribble limit though. Maybe like 2 dribbles or 1 dribble, or maybe on like one side of the court if it's like 3-on-3. That way you're working on just like, because basketball is broken up into 2 sides of the floor, truly. So like you're playing like 2-man games and 3-man games on whatever side of the floor you're kind of working on. So even if it was in our 4-out-1-in Lipscomb offense, we had if you caught it on the wing, everybody's moving away. So you're really working on a 2-man game, but you got 3 men offside and you're bringing 1 back to the side. So it's never going to be 4 men on a side and 1 man on a side. That's what I'm trying to say. So I really like the idea of breaking down sides of the court.
What about you, Asa?
Well, I completely just zoned out after listening to Nate's. What was the question? I was listening to his answer, but I forgot
about the no dribble. Ever practice with no dribble?
No, Nate. I feel like I know we did 1 dribble at Lipscomb sometimes. Maybe a couple times no dribbles, but not often.
Yeah, I don't think we did no dribbles very much, or if all.
Probably can count them on one hand.
All right, a couple more questions. What was the favorite gym you guys played in, whether it's high school, college, coaching? What's your favorite gym that you played or coached in?
NC State. But that was also the moment.
We're considering everything then? Like, atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
NC State, NIT, quarterfinal. Garrison Matthews has 44. Just goes nuts. Shout out me. I had 2. I had a little bank shot where I didn't jump off an offensive rebound. So that was but the atmosphere was absolutely nuts. Kenny Cooper drives the length of the floor after they hit a shot over him. He's thinking, oh my goodness, they just sprayed me for the win. Comes down, loses the ball, comes back over, hits a floater from the elbow, wins the game. So,
and Lipscomb goes to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but
I mean, being in the ASUN championship game, my senior year, which turned out to be Nate. Yeah, that was – I didn't play. I was sitting. I mean, I can't sit here and tell y'all that
March Madness.
No, that the Glass House and I can't sit here and tell y'all that was –
No, you got to say that.
Yeah,
right, sure. I mean, that was probably the craziest environment that I've ever been a part of.
Here's an example I'd give both of y'all, and y'all tell me this. And again, I high school, college, the glam of college and all that. I mean, you guys had phenomenal careers, high school and college. But for me, I still think playing with your buddies that you grew up with, some of your best friends that you grew up with in high school, and going and beating, the best team in the state and upsetting in front of all your family, your friends and all that stuff. Like, dude, high school basketball is just, there's nothing like, I mean, and I love high school football, I love all that, but packed houses and that high school basketball, like, dude, I mean, again, I didn't play college ball, but I mean, high school basketball, I got some of the greatest memories with my best friends in the world, with my grandparents sitting in the front row. I know exactly where they sat, with Nathan and Hasty being small, sitting there. Like, it was phenomenal. So you could say the glass house.
Yeah. I mean, I was honestly, man, I should have answered it like this, like whichever gym I shot the best in. So, it's probably sometime like during when I was playing with Team Nashville or something.
What about Asa? What about your favorite gym that you just like walked in, you were like, wow, this is awesome?
I mean, Texas was
Texas got to be up there, right?
Texas that was crazy. Texas was a humongous. Tennessee, dude. Thompson Bowling. It was cool to be in Thompson Bowling. I mean, that's an awesome arena.
The Bethlehem of the states.
Thompson Bowling was really cool to be in. Now, the only thing about being a mid-major and playing against a high major is normally you're playing those high majors when there's not a lot of students there. So that's the only thing. Like, I never really had y'all playing NC State or anything like that. But I don't know.
It's got to be March Madness or the NIT.
Yeah, I mean,
like those are got to be the two for me. Like,
yeah.
You play where the Hornets play, and then you play where the Knicks play. I mean, those got to be the top two. But anyway, let's keep rolling.
All right. So
how many more we got?
Just a couple. Hey, I'm asking the questions here, Asa.
You're on the Sam Moran podcast.
Yeah, you're on the Sam Moran podcast. Strap in and be quiet and just answer the questions. Some girl wants to know if Asa's single. No, I'm joking. Anyways, so obviously I go to these AAU tournaments all the time. As college coaches, what helps you separate as far as like, oh, this kid is, built and does all this? What are all the little intangibles that you guys look for that help make a cut, as you're going and looking at these kids in the gym? And what are some good things and what are some bad things that you're like, yeah, man, I really like his game, or, hey, man, he's an automatic this, and move on.
Nate is way more equipped to answer this question than I am.
Yeah, but you're a basketball coach and you see it too. So I want your opinion too.
Who's going first?
I'll go ahead and go. So what are some positives and negatives, right? Like, what's something good I look for? What's something bad I look for? Well, one, I try to not make an evaluation on the first time. That's something that I've been learning over the past couple years, is that I can make an evaluation the first time I see him and write somebody off and then go for 40 and be the best teammate in the world the next game. So, kids are kids. I do think we have to understand that. I think we can rush to oh, he's a bad kid. No, maybe you just saw his worst self. Maybe he's not always like that because, gosh, if you took one game, if you saw the worst performance from me and I had a bad attitude one game, it's I don't think I was normally like that. But, I mean, everybody's got a worse version of themselves. So just kind of keeping that on the table. But I think if you want to stand out to a coach, like you said, you do the little things right. Like for instance, this one kid this weekend, now he had decent size, but he was probably 6'7", which obviously that stands out to you, right? But he was a rim grazer, and he was a wing. As a wing, being a rim grazer and not being the most laterally gifted, that's probably not someone that you're oh wow, that just jumps out on paper, even for a Division II school. But when I looked at him, he was super confident whenever he shot it. He had no hesitation in his shot. Now, did they all go in? No. But one of my favorite things was he was talking on defense. I mean, talking. I promise you, it's almost like you might as well just listen to the benches, because the benches only after a dunk or something, a big three or something like that, are the only times I hear people talking. And it drives me nuts. If you are talking defensively, I get fired up. I'm like, okay. And it's not just pointless talk. It's not hoorah, hoorah. It's I got gap. I'm help. Hey, watch your backside. Talking to somebody and just leading through that. So I just think communication is going away. So I think somebody that's communicating and just leading, I really look for leadership, and not everybody has to have it, because you just can't have a team of the same people, but that's something that stands out positively. And then obviously your skill set too. Can you function without having to put the ball on the ground a bunch? How's your jump shot? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but that's probably my favorite that I look for.
I would. I like the first things that popped in my mind. I like a talker. I need my guys to be able to talk. I don't like a quiet gym. I need you to be able to talk. I need you to have some swag, and I need you to forget about a play is a good or a bad play. I need you to forget about that play immediately. I don't care what it is. I need you to move on to the next thing. So I'm just going to give you three things. I need a talker. I need a kid with some swag, and I need you to forget about your mistakes at the drop of a dime.
I would go for a fourth, Asa, and that is, I would love if there were just people in his corner, whether it's AAU I think AAU coaches, I think we have to start giving respect to a lot of these AAU coaches. Are there some that are on a little bit on the loony side? Sure. But for the most part, I truly do. They are doing a phenomenal job in taking many hours out of their lives and time away from their families to spend with these kids. And I think the most important thing is just to keep pouring into these kids and being very honest. And I could talk to an AAU coach and be like, okay, this guy's not just trying to blow smoke, but it's not just smoke and mirrors. It's being very honest with these kids with love. Like, be honest, but love them. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that sometimes happens. I think that's why it can sometimes be a victim stage that we've lived in, and like, woe is me, this is me, instead of like you said, just forget about it, work through your problem and fix it. So I'd say, but my main thing is I'll talk to an AAU coach and I'll be like, this guy gets it. Like, he's very honest with these kids, and he's very honest with me on where they are. And it's like, this guy gets it. And then you'll hear another one that might talk somebody up, like, no, they're going to Kentucky and they're a fringe Division II school. It's like, just be honest with yourself, et cetera. But no, I think for the most part, dude, shout out or high school coaches. Shout out college coaches for all the work they've done this summer, and shout out mainly to AAU coaches.
Amen. Hey, last one, and I'll leave you alone, Asa. And Nathan, you get a chance to. Obviously, you guys were roommates in college. Y'all gotta give me a funny story about each other that y'all can tell online. But I need a story on the other one, and you better make it a good one, because you don't know what the other one's gonna say. So you better make it a good one.
In practice, did we talk about that?
Oh yeah, he sprained my MCL.
I think we talked about that on here though, Nate. Right? Didn't we?
I don't know, but Asa knocked it loose, and I beat him down to a ball, and I literally picked it and was standing up, and Asa just dove into my legs.
Right. That's one of the main times.
But that's a basketball story.
And that's good too. It's like you getting beat.
We have plenty of stories.
Sam, we got to come back. We got to come back to that one.
Yeah,
we have to wrap this up. We have to wrap this up. I'm sorry. We got to wrap it up. Sam, I really appreciate you coming on. This was a blast talking to you. It was an awesome time. Nathan, I'm glad we got him on. Sam, thank you for your time. I'm going to do this for you. Sam, you are on Twitter at Sam Moran Jr. I am on Instagram at the Ace of Spades with a Z on the end. Nathan is on Twitter at Coach Nate Moran. He is on Instagram at Nate5_Moran. Mind of a Coach is on Twitter at Mind of a Coach Pod, and we are on Instagram at Mind of a Coach.
I got one more, Asa, and that is also BGA Legends Youth League is on Twitter at BGA Legends.
Awesome. Guys, so proud of you guys. Love you guys. What y'all are doing, it's amazing, because I ran into a couple of college coaches this weekend. They actually talked about how they listen to the podcast and what you guys are doing. So again, love you guys. So proud of you. Keep it up. And I was honored to be on. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Love you too, Sam. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See ya.